All right, guys, we are live, and today we are going to talk about capturing video ideas. So there might be a list of things that you might want to capture, either in your personal or business life, where in my case, there I get feedback for ideas for videos, and a lot of times those come in through comments, and I have no central way of storing those. I probably should have been capturing those in a Word document or something like that, but I thought this would be a great opportunity to do this in PowerApps and actually capture these things within a Sharepoint list. So that's what we're going to do today. Not only that, but I'll be monitoring the comments to look for any off-topic questions. So this, and also if you have any ideas while we're building this app together, while we're working here, please put those in the comments and I'll actually add them to the list of video ideas, of things that I will record and release or do a live stream for. So welcome to do that now if you're currently with me. Another thought, so I did use as a thumbnail a Doctor Strange. So you got like a great idea. You've got one piece of information and it's given. So that's why I was thinking of that Doctor Strange thing. So Doctor Strange 2 came out yesterday, and gonna see that tonight. So if you've already seen it, please no spoilers. All right, very good. So I am gonna show my screen here. Let's go with a different format. There we go. That's a little better. So last week we built a massive application. And if you could see here, we have got an application with 100 screens. Okay. And how we set that up is we really harnessed and utilized the idea of components. So if you go over here to components, we created one component that's got a header bar at the top, menu on the side. It may not look like a really nice, finished, and polished application you would deliver to a client, but I built this application for you guys, not only to build it from scratch, but also as I'm doing some video training sessions, I thought I would have like, if I cover a topic, let's say I cover a topic of patch or something, and so I might have a screen just for that. And then I would make this MS app file available to you guys. And I've been thinking about how also I could make this all available to you guys for all the Sharepoint lists, so you don't have to manually create those. So initially, we'll hopefully you're with me live, sort of building this out. If you're interested in doing exactly what I'm doing, sort of following along. Perhaps if you're a beginner, if you're more of an intermediate or advanced, perhaps you don't really need to do that. You sort of get it just by watching me what I'm doing. But if you are following along, you could just be creating the Sharepoint list as I'm creating it. Okay, so let me just do a little bit of a refresher of what we did last week. So we built this 100-screen application, and I was inspired by Daniel Christian, one of his videos, which I talked about in that video last week, where he pretty much created a 100-screen application with the help of Microsoft Excel to actually create all the code that will serve as the menu. So if I go here in the app on start, you'll see something interesting here. So as I scroll down, it generated all this code for us, all these little multiple values. So within Microsoft Excel, you can have one line with a cell value of 1, and you just pull that cell down and it'll actually give you sequential numbers. So it actually generated all this code for us, which is really nice. So just wanted to mention that. And the data source that we use, I created a Sharepoint list just for this. Well, I guess for any PowerApps training that I do, I'll create this. So I've got a listing of all of our screens, so we can have some dynamic things associated with each screen. So I see I have a comment here. I'm going to try to pronounce the name, and I do apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. That goes for you and anybody else. But Sauba. Thanks for joining. And so this is our data source that we're going to be using. So any new Sharepoint list / database tables we create will be used with this Sharepoint site here. And so as we go along, I'll go in here. So as you can see, for each of those screens that we have a screen ID. And this will be the screen ID that was defined over there in that app on start. We've got a title for each screen. We have a menu text, so we can change those things up. So if I were to run this application and we scroll up to the top, we're not using all if you just see like a screen and then a number, we haven't actually used that yet. So we've got an init menu where we went in here and we initialized this menu. And then eventually that code made its way over to the app on start. But I wanted to leave all these things in place in case you guys ever wanted to go back and look and see how I built each individual part of this application. Okay, and I believe we did one for the absolute function, or perhaps something that we might do in the future. So I think that was an example of something that I could do. I'd create a new screen and we'd go over it on a one screen there. Okay, so what do I want to do here is, so if we look at site contents, I want to create a new list for video ideas. So I'm going to go into list. Now, if you think about it, this has many different applications. Let's say you just wanted to create a to-do list or something like that. You know, that would be a simple, you just probably use the title for the text for the item to do. And you might add like a Boolean if it's done or not, that type of thing. Something as simple as that, that'd be nice. So let's create a blank new list here. And I'm going to call it, I like to prefix if I can. Not all the time am I able to prefix my tables. And as I've done software development in the past with C#, ASP.NET, I would never have done that. But with PowerApps, the scoping is a little weird sometimes. In my mind, it's good to have that. If I want to get at my data sources, and I mean, most of my data sources with TBL, I can get to it really easily. I type TBL, boom, there's all my data sources. I do not recommend putting spaces, especially in SharePoint lists and such. If you're using PowerApps as a front end, and I'm sorry, PowerApps is the front end and SharePoint is the back end. But so what I'm going to call this is video ideas. And I'm going to click create. All right, so we'll just create this list together. So whenever I create a new list, I always like to see the unique primary column within this list. I'll add that in there so I can see that. So we'll probably put the title in here. Now, I'm going to add, so the idea would go in there. We might want to add where it came from. Let's say, let's do a single line of text, and we will say, person suggested or person who suggested. And I don't like to have any spaces in my column names. So when you're in PowerApps and you got spaces in those column names, you've got to prefix them and pin them with single quotes. So sort of causes a little bit of trouble there. So I don't like to put any spaces in there. So we'll leave that as single line of text for now. The person who suggested. All right, what else should we put in here? So, so we've got a video idea. You know, let's add a category. That might be good. And a lot of times what I will do if it's, if you might think a choice column would be a good idea within, let's say you use SharePoint a lot. I don't like to use choice columns within SharePoint. With Dataverse, I sort of like it because if you create model-driven applications, you can really harness that. For choices, I like to create either a small list that's defined within PowerApps that can go in there, or I sort of handle it on the front end rather than defining it in the back end here. And if it's a list that changes often, I will create a completely separate SharePoint list, and then we'll display that as a drop-down list or combo box, and then I will just pop that value into this text column, okay? So we'll keep category as a single line of text. And we'll also add in a value here. I'm thinking we might want a link from where the video idea came from. So for example, I'm probably going to go through, as I have time, go through my videos and look for any suggestions for videos. And then as I enter them here, I might enter the YouTuber's username here for the person who suggested, the category I don't know, that could be like a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, or I could have other categories perhaps. Um, but what I'm thinking here is I might want URL or how we spell origin. I think so. I use a Google search for my spell check just to make sure. Yeah, origin URL, just take out that space. So that will simply be a URL. So if it came from a particular YouTube video, I'll paste that YouTube link in there. Trying to think of other things. I like to create as many columns as we can up front. Now, if this was a real application I was developing for a client, I would be spending a lot more time up front talking to the client, gathering requirements, sort of wrapping my mind around the whole scope of what they needed. And here live, I sort of like to give you guys the opportunity to see how I think on my feet. So perhaps it's not as well polished and baked, but I actually had somebody compliment me on the live streams because they saw that things didn't go perfect for me, which they rarely do. But in a video, when I'm recording a video and I release it later, there's a lot of editing, or I might re-record a section, that type of thing. So I like to have videos as nice and polished for you guys as possible. But I believe what some people really enjoy about live streams is that you sort of see that maybe I go down one road and I see that doesn't work out, and then I change my mind, and you guys can see how I fix that. So I think that can be valuable. Okay, so this is the information, and I think I'm going to just stick with that for now. And what I like to do when I need to connect to a data source within PowerApps, I'll just bring up this. I'll click on this, bring this up into a different tab. Let me see here. And I'll use that. We'll go over to data sources over here on the left pane. And we're going to add a Sharepoint connector. I'm going to paste that URL in right there. So there's video ideas. And let's actually use all these nice features that we built last week. Okay, so we're here on screen 3. It's a brand new fresh screen. So what do we want to call this? Menu text will be add new video idea entry. Okay, so the screen heading text, that will be, you see at the very top of the screen, it says screen 3 right here. That is that text. So I think I might just use that. I'm going to copy and paste that over. And then more of a description. I think I'm just going to paste that there for now. We can always change that later. Now, what happens when I hit save here? So it writes that to the database, and it reads all that data back into, I believe we used a collection, in-memory collection, for all of our menu items. So now screen 3 is no longer screen 3. It's now video idea entry. It looks like, all right, so we've got the third item here. Now, what's the easiest way just to start adding records into SharePoint from PowerApps? Well, if you guys have watched many of my videos, you probably know that I don't care for forms all that much, but I thought, hey, why not? We have an hour or two here, and to deal with forms, and then maybe to do it differently with a patch doesn't take much time, especially with the small amount of fields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a form to the screen. I'm going to do an insert form and edit. Bring this over here. And we need to connect data. So we will click on this data source drop-down list. There's video ideas there. And a lot of times I think with forms, unless you can have a really wide form, a single column form probably looks best here. Okay, so if we run this, you'll see that there's no items to display. I just want a little form to just start entering data. So what I'm going to do here, it's not really oblige or helping me out here. So instead of the default mode be edit, I'm going to set that up to be a new. Okay, so we've got that. And I think what I might do, because we have so much space here, I might make this wider. And let's make this more like a 3 or 2. No, we really don't have any need for attachments, right? You know what might be a good thing to use attachments for is if somebody had a screenshot or something. If I wanted to upload a screenshot, perhaps somebody's typed a paragraph or something. I mean, I'd probably paste that over somehow. But if I have a screenshot of something and I had a video idea associated with the screenshot, it'd be nice to upload that, just to have a nice place to do that. I might leave that in there, perhaps. And so let me make this attachments box a lot smaller here. All right, very good. Make this a little wider. Actually, make use of all the screen space we have here. And looks like it went back to 1 column. So I'm going to change it to 3 columns. And then down to 2 and see what it gives me. Okay, that's fine. That's what I don't like about forms is they're, for me, they sort of prove themselves to be really unpredictable. So I was just sizing the form itself and it went down to take up half the space. I thought was weird. And a lot of times I found when I spend hours and hours customizing a form exactly how I want it, I might go in there and change the border color of the form or change the columns and it'll completely reset, which is really bad. I mean, it can waste hours of your time. And if the undo doesn't work, you have to rely on a previously saved point in time. So that's actually a good point. So I always tell people, whenever you create a new app, save early as soon as you can, so it starts doing the automatic saves for you, and then also save often. Even though PowerApps probably is saving it every 2 minutes, I say probably because there are settings you can actually adjust that. It's saving your application every 2 minutes, but it doesn't create that little restore point. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. I'm going to add a little save button here. All right, let's add in a new. Right. So what we will do here, what is the name of this form? It's form 1. Now, in a 100 screen application, you got a lot of screens. The scope of names that you have for controls in your application is not limited to 1 screen. So on this screen, I might have a form 1, or I might call it form entry. And then on another screen, you try to create another form called screen entry or or form customers. That name is gonna collide with the same name of another form on another screen, because the scope is actually global throughout the whole application. So if you can imagine 100 screens, you're gonna have a lot of issues there. So in this case, to avoid any type of naming conflicts, I always start with a prefix. Like, this is a form, so I'm going to say FRM. Then I'm going to use some type of prefix for the name of the screen that I'm on. So in this case, I'm going to say video idea. And we may not have any other forms with video idea, but if we start adding, let's say, for example, these buttons, we might want to copy that. Okay, so the form is named. Over here on save, BTN video idea, save. And then for the new button, video idea, new. All right. Now for these buttons, we need to go over here to the action on the on select. And what we will say is submit form. And it is button, look at that, video idea, save. I'm sorry, we don't need to form video idea, very good. And then we will go over to, I'm gonna copy this, go over to the new the on select, instead of submit form, I think the function is called new form. So we'll use that. And let's try this out. Let's see how this works out for us. First, video idea. Me, Darren. Category, I'm going to say general. Okay. Origin URL. You know what I might do is go find the URL to this video. And I'm going to do that by searching for my name on YouTube here. And there I am now. I might get a little bit of, I need to mute it as soon as it comes up. There we go. Muted it. And now I am going to get the URL. I'm going to paste that there. There we go. I want to stop that from streaming. I don't need to be seeing that. All right. So we've got that. No attachments. That's fine. I'm just going to see if this thing saves. And it did save, and it went back to this screen that really, what do you do with this, right? So something a lot of times I will do for a save button that submits a form is that I will do a new form. So it resets it. So I'm going to copy the code that we have over here for the new, and I'm going to go back over to the save, and I'm going to paste it right here. So we could reset this by just hitting new. Also, if you're starting to type something like you got all this stuff typed like, no, that's actually duplicate, or I don't want that in there, you hit new, and it should reset it, which it did not. So in that case, we would actually need to edit it here. Do you guys have any ideas? Let me look at the comments here. So I'm not seeing any more comments, but let's see. You know what? I have got a video. It's actually one of my more popular videos. I'm going to open up a listing of my videos here, my channel, and then go to my videos here, and let me look at most viewed. Yeah, there is an example. It's a checklist inspection app. And I will mute it. Let's get muted there. Okay. I'm going to show you this video because it's very popular. People really like it. They like see other example apps here. I'm going to pause it. And so I'm going to scroll down. Love to see how you organize questions, categories, and answers in separate tables. Neat. Try to build something similar for work with long forms that will benefit from this method. Okay, so this is a good example. So I'm going to something that I did not think about when I created this data source here is we probably want a little a field here for multiple lines of text. So if somebody gives me a paragraph or two, I want to be able to paste in that. So we'll say full description. We don't want to space in there. Multiple lines of text. That looks good. And I don't want to use rich text. That always tries to put some weird stuff in there. I'm going to click save. So we've got that. So whenever you add any new column, you need to go back over to PowerApps and you need to refresh your data source here. So we'll do that. Now let's see how this form reacts. Okay, it didn't automatically add the new field, so I'm going to go in here and say, there's full description. All right, so we've got that. And I think what I would like to do is I want to move some of this stuff around a little bit. So for example, I'm sort of running out of space. Let me make the background color of this whole form to be white, and I'll just drag this down up more space. Sometimes I'll move buttons up here, you know, if the screen is just full of stuff, and I might still do that. We might add a few more things here in this session. But all right, for this one within the form, edit text. So let's edit multiple lines of text. How about that? see what it does. So just give us a little more space. And I might make it a little bigger. Let's go to the height and make that 85 perhaps. Okay, there we go. And I don't know, we got plenty of space now that we enlarged things a bit. Let me do that. Let me make this a little bigger. Wayne, thanks for joining the live stream, Wayne. No comments today, huh? Cat got your tongue? All right. Wayne usually comes on and tells me how handsome I am. Unfortunately, today he has not told me that. So, all right. So we have that. Got a little bit more space there. All right. So let's run this. So I'm going to go over here and the URL. We had the URL, but when I refresh the data source, I think it wiped it away. So that's one way to really reset a form, is to refresh the data source. So there's the origin URL. And for here, we'll say inspection. What do I call this? Yeah, checklist inspection app. Say show more. One idea I had, guys, was to actually rebuild this whole app so I could show you guys exactly how I build it. So this is a 11.5-minute video, and people really like it and ask me a lot of questions about it. And to be honest, it's got me a lot of freelance work. So the app's been really good to me. And I would probably do a lot of things differently these days than what I did back then. If I did use forms, it would save me a lot of time. But so that's an idea I'm sort of kicking around. So show more. Person who suggested was Mohammed Salem here. So we'll add him. There we go. And I should probably say YouTube, because I am on Twitter and LinkedIn, a lot of other places. So somebody might give me a suggestion there. So I'd like to perhaps put that in here, maybe in parentheses. I'll put that in there. Category. I'll put a category of examples. I love that. All right, full description. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and copy this. Paste it, and we will hit save. And there we go. So now we know, if I refresh here, we now have 2 records. Very good. And then we're not seeing anything within our app. So I think that we should add like a listing screen showing us this information. So we have a screen 4, and we'll say video listing, video idea listing screen. Okay, so heading text, make that the same for now, and also that. So I'll hit save. So there we got that. All right. So the gallery is probably, or should be, your go-to item for some type of a repeater. That's what I would recommend. I would recommend not making the data table your go-to for something like that. I have a whole video about the data table and sort of showing how you'd use it and the reasons why I really dislike the data. I do use data tables here and there just to sort of show data really quickly, perhaps to myself while I'm working in PowerApps, but rarely, if ever, do I ever use a data table that will be seen by a user. Okay, so I'm going to add in a blank vertical. I almost always use the blank ones. Rarely use these because it always has other stuff in there that you're just going to be ripping out, and then it's got some dynamic referencing to each other controls, which you probably don't want. It causes errors, and you got to resolve it. It just makes sense just to create a blank vertical here. Okay, so let me pull that over. And the first thing I do with either something like a gallery or a form is I'll give it a little border here. All right, so I do have a comment here from Mu Atham. So again, I apologize if I did not pronounce your name right. Hi, Darren, appreciate your videos. idea for rental application, dispatch and receiving assets. That is a great idea. I love that. I'm going to add that. And I've had some similar, I don't know if it was perhaps you that has recommended this in the past, but what I like about PowerApps or, just software development, but PowerApps specifically, because you get some really good ideas of ideas that PowerApps just handles really well. And you can use it for all type of stuff. I'm going to give you an example. So there was this one time we needed our car cleaned. We bought this, it was a used car, but it was new to us. We bought this car and the dealership wasn't going to clean the car up. It was a little messy on the inside. And they said, tell you what, we will give you an extra $150 if you want to take that to a detailing shop. So we contacted somebody that details cars, had him come by the house, and he cleaned up the car really well. And I came out to talk with him a little bit. I'm like, hey, man, I'm just sort of curious. How do you track all of your customers? Because you do auto detailing work all the time, right? Day in, day out. People have different addresses and phone numbers. Like, what do you keep track of? He goes, oh, it's all on my phone. I'm like, okay, well, are you keeping that in your contacts? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so you probably have like hundreds of contacts. And he goes, yeah, I put a little star, like a lightning bolt emoji and the names, beside the names, to know that it's business. And I'm like, oh man, tell you what, allow me to create a PowerApps app for you. This is when I first started out. And so I created that. And then I thought to myself, like, this app could be used by people that come to people's houses, let's say mow lawns. So some type of a lawn service that could be used by them. It could, the app it keeps track of customer data, their address, their cars, perhaps the customer spouse. You want to capture their birthdays. Because you might want to offer them a discount for auto detailing on their birthday, or contact the one of the people in the marriage and be like, hey, would you, their birthday's coming up. Would you like me to come over and clean their car for their birthday, or offer them a discount for something like that, So this is a great idea. So I'm going to add that here in a few minutes. So thank you for that. So there's like ideas like the asset checking out. So you've got a library of books in a department, either a law library or something that, it doesn't have to be books, it can be tools. And somebody can come and say, hey, I need a hammer, or I need a lawnmower. This is my information. This is the information of what I need. And PowerApps can handle all that, of all the workflow of all that. So, all right, so we have a gallery here, and right away, a gallery is going to have a really big first record here. So I'm going to make that a little thinner. And then I'm going to add in a label. And I don't want to save that. All right, so we are connected to anything yet? Probably not. So we need to connect to our video ideas. Very good. And I'll make this a little bigger. Very good. Now, one of the things, for some reason, my nose is itching, the very edge of my nose. It's very annoying. Only on a live stream, right? All right, so we've got that there. What I always do with galleries is I click on them and then I scroll all the way down and I go find template fill. Okay, and then for template fill, I do an if statement. So if this item, now this item is a current record for gallery. This item dot is selected. If it is, we'll say light yellow. Otherwise, make it white. And then what I do is I change the background color of the gallery to be a nice gray color. And then I take this template padding and I make it maybe 1 or 2. Make it 2 for our purposes. Okay. So it's already looking a little better than what it was. Okay. All right. I think that I might want to, I think my browser might be doing something weird here. It's lagging. Okay, there we go. I think I might want to try to take up the whole space of this, because I don't need to see this stuff at the bottom all the time. Okay. Now there is, there will be a quick way of doing this, because I'm going to be doing that on a lot of the screens. I have a set of videos where I teach people how to build out their own template or their starting point when they create a new application. And I create this little debugging feature, a little toggle, so you can like show or hide things as a developer or as a tester that you might want to show or hide dynamically while you're looking at the app. And we can actually build that into this really quickly, and you'll immediately see how useful that is. Okay. So, for example, let's add in a little. Let's go over to our component. Let's add in a little icon. And when I deal with icons, I just add over this add icon first. Okay. If you're going to be looking for a specific one, don't mess with going here and looking at all of them because there's a lot of them there. What you do is you go after you add it, you go over to the icon and you can do a search here. And a lot of times over the icon, the menu will like to disappear if you click on the wrong thing or your mouse isn't hovering over it right. There is an icon. A lot of times I use a 3D printing icon. It's just something different, and I'm not going to get it confused with anything else. I don't do 3D printing. I don't know if that's really the universal icon for 3D printing or not, but I'm going to add this up here. And typically I just put it up here near the top. And I wish the tip of my nose would stop itching. Okay, so what we're going to do is I like to have it similar to the color, the background color of what we're currently working with. So in this case, it's using this 74 number for a nice gray color for the RGB values. And I'm going to use something similar here. I might use something like 545454 and see what that, I didn't want to make that there. Didn't want to change the background. I wanted to change the 4 color. See how it's subtle? I might actually make it like 64. Right? So it doesn't like stick out. Now, if it's selected, I do want it to stick out. So on select, what I will want to do is set a global variable, and we'll call this var show debugging. That's what I call it in my app. Now, I need to remind myself, var is not the Microsoft recommended practice for variable names for globals. I know a lot of people use var, so I like to stick with the Microsoft recommended practice. So GBL is the right prefix for global variables. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that value and I'm going to reverse whatever the value was. Okay. And then over here, if I run this, just be changing it. Okay. So let's actually display the difference in this. So if global show debugging I'll use a value like flare value. I was going to use something similar to that, but I think I'm going to stay away from it for now and just put in a hex value of a light gray, something like 5 for all 3 values there. Okay. I'm going to go back to a screen. See how it's a toggle? Okay. So all that we need to do at this point is we've got all these values down here, and it's all in one group, thankfully. We did that. We'll go down to visible, and we'll set this up to actually look at that global show debugging. Okay. Isn't that cool? All right. So now we've got this gallery we were dealing with before. And a lot of times I like to put like a little header on top of the gallery. Let's move this down. Yeah. All right, so we've got that. Let's look at the values that we have here. So we've got the title, who suggested, category, URL, and the full description. Okay. So what values do we want to display here? I think what I might want to do is have this label here. Do something like go to parent.template height. Okay, so we'll do that. Here's the video idea. And for the left, we'll put a padding of 15 there. So now this doesn't need to be so tall, each individual row. 60 looks a lot better. So we've got that. And might want to make that height. Now, for a little column heading for a gallery, let's add a rectangle here. And let's go with maybe 40. Good. Now this gallery here, we should probably name this gal video idea listing. Okay, we'll go back into that name and copy that. Okay, for the X, I'm going to refer to that gallery.x, so it's always the same there. And for the Y, I'm going to reference the gallery's Y property. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract self, the rectangle, dot height. Pretty good. And then a lot of times I want to do is set up a border of 2. Typically, I have a border of 2 on any galleries that I work on, typically. And for the border color, I like this to be dynamic as well. So I might say something like self.fill. Okay. Now the question is, do we want to stay with that color? I think it's fine for now. All right, so what we'll do is we will insert a label. All right, so I got a new comment here. Victor, hi there, could make it live this time around. This app is looking cool. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. It's exciting having people stop by while I'm doing this. I know a lot of people watch afterwards, but it's sort of nice for you guys to hang out with me as I'm making these. So if you're just joining, we are building an app that will keep track of any video ideas that you guys give me or anything that you want me to cover, either in a live stream or recorded video. So I do have a video coming up, guys. And so if you guys are not aware, I do have, if you go into my channel, I'll scroll down here and go into playlists. And I've got, let's see, which one was it? It was, I think it's called Zero to Hero is what I called it. Yeah, we'll go in here. And what this is pretty much a course. I'm building a course. And so if you guys are not familiar with that, I would recommend you start with this second. So you go into playlist, you'll find this Zero to Hero thing. Go into this PowerApps course enrollment. I actually have a Facebook group, and I'm building out a full course, and I'm going to be spending more time sort of focusing on that. But the very next one, as you see here, I've got PowerApps defining the application. So gathering information about the project. So if you ever want to do any type of freelancing, you really need to be able to sort of document and communicate the purpose of your project, the who, what, when, where, why type of questions. And then there's a lesson with each one. So if you want to sort of learn PowerApps development, perhaps if you don't already have a PowerApps job, if you want to be employable using PowerApps, or you want to be a freelancer with PowerApps, the whole course is going to be targeted to, I mean, if you don't know anything about PowerApps, of course, I have videos about the basics, but pretty much teaching you how to build out an application as a professional. And then after you do probably 2 or 3 of those, you've got a good amount of experience. It's probably going to be targeted like maybe a 90-day course if you think like signing up for a summer class at a community college. But the end result is that the whole goal is that for you to be employable, to get a job at an employer, or to be a freelancer. So that's what my whole goal is. And so the next video that I'm going to be releasing soon, it took me quite a while to do all the editing for it, because I whittled down a 40-minute video down to about 17 minutes. It's really good. I'm excited to release it here pretty soon. But what it's going to go over is actually how to gather all those requirements from your user, your clients. Even if you're an employee working for a company, you'll have to talk to people from other departments perhaps, or the users, or whoever you're building it for, and actually sort of pull out of them all the really necessary and vital information for you to build the application properly. Because a lot of times after you build an app, they start to see it, or you present it to them, then comes all this information. So clients, customers are vague in requirements and very specific in revision requests, which I wish it was the other way around, of course, right? But so I'm going to be releasing that soon. But very, very cool. All right, so now I'm going to give this a color of white here to make it stand out and look nice. And I like to make these bold for a header. And maybe make it a little bigger there. 17 probably looks right. Okay, and then all uppercase. So we'll say video. Oh, come on. Video idea. There we go. And if you look at it, it almost looks like I'm really sensitive to alignments and spacing and things. It almost looks like it needs a little more padding at the top. But maybe that's just my eyes playing tricks on me here. So I might leave it just as is, because I think it has the padding, the same padding all the way around. That's fine. Now I might make the left padding 15. And I might make these labels, these headers, to be dynamic. If you guys have followed me in the other apps, a lot of times I do this. So it's nice and dynamic. If I ever need to move something, everything moves around with it. So it's sort of a habit. So anyway, let me add in, let me just add in these other fields here. I'm going to copy and paste. Okay. And then the next thing we might want to display is who, maybe the category first. Let's do category. Very good. General examples. Might make that a little wider. Category. Probably doesn't need to be quite that long, maybe 160. Okay. Now the next thing we want to display is the person who suggested it. Person suggested. Okay. Suggested. Make that a little bit bigger. Very good. Okay. All right, so now we have URL description. Now there's really no need to actually see a URL here, but you might want the capability of actually clicking on it. So let me add, we might want an icon instead of a button. So let's just add a little icon in here. And we'll go in here and let me look if we've got like a link. Yeah, let's use a link. Okay. Now I do have a really cool idea or I have a cool way of making these icons look nicer than what they look like. So they look a little generic. So let me show you a little trick here in a moment of how to make them look a lot better. What I wanted to get at was this rectangle's got this blue color. I wanted to grab that. That's a hexadecimal color. So we'll say color value. Very good. All right. So how do you make this look cooler than what it already looks like? What you do is you go in here and you add the shape, and we'll add in a circle. Excuse me. I think maybe I got some allergies or something going on. That's why my nose is itching. All right, so I'm going to hit Control left bracket to make that go back behind what I just had there. And I think we are. That's good. Now, yeah, instead of this color here, what I want that to be is white. So what I want to do, yeah. All right. And then I was going to make it a perfect circle, but this little oval sort of looks cool, perhaps. So for this padding, let's put in a little padding for the icon. I don't know. Maybe not so wide. What do you guys think of that? Does that look better than just having just an icon right there? Okay, let's not make this so tall. Make that 5. That should be centered there. All right. So if they click on this, it will open up the link. Now, a lot of times I don't like for icons and buttons to be displayed. Let's say I've got a little delete button, or in this case, like a launch. So we'll actually put some code here that will launch that URL into a separate browser tab. I don't like them to just be like, if I've got a bunch of records here, I don't want these little link buttons to be all over the place. I only want these things to be visible. So I'm going to group this and set up the visible to only if the current this item dot is selected. Okay. So it looks less cluttered. All right, so we've got that. And then if somebody clicks on this, we'll do a launch. I do have a whole video on the launch function very thoroughly. All right, so we'll say this item. Let me turn off my caps lock. Origin URL. Okay, that's good. And I think that should do it for us. So if I run this, click on this link here. Very good. It opened it up just fine. So it works. All right. The other thing we wanted to display perhaps is a bigger description. And we might want that to be a toggle or a pop-up, something like that. So for example, this could be a few paragraphs. So I might have that be displayed as a pop-up. I think that might be a good idea. So how I do pop-ups, very simple. Yeah, add over a rectangle. That's going to pretty much take up the whole screen or a big portion of the screen. And what I'll do is I'll make that like a white color, but then I'll set the alpha back to like 85 so they can tell that there's something behind there. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll also insert a label. So put that here. Okay. And if there is an overflow, we'll have a scroll bar in there rather than just cutting it off. And what we're going to do in this label is we are going to display the gallery, the video listing. We're going to look at the selected, and then we're going to look at the full description. Yeah, full description. There we go. Look at that. All right. And then I don't want it to be so transparent. Maybe something like a 92, 95. Yeah, maybe 95 because I want to be able to read it really well. All right, so we've got that in there. Now we might want to say, add a button over, put that and say OK or cancel, something like that. Close. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that button, that label, that rectangle. I'm going to make a single group. So we'll do that. Now what we'll do is we will set this up for the visible property. And we will say, I feel like we should use a context variable because this little pop-up is only for the screen. So we should name our local variable to the LOC. That's a Microsoft standard. LOC show pop-up. Either it should be a true or false value. All right, so we'll do that. Now for that button inside, what we're going to do here is we'll do an update context. We'll use curly braces. Use that local variable, and we'll say false. Okay. Now what I want to do here, perhaps we'll have another icon group like this. And so we've got these three selected. And do a copy and paste. There we go. Make sure they're all selected. I'm going to try to move them over with my right arrow, which is not working. Here we go. And when you're designing a gallery, you don't want to get too close to this right side because you'll get a scroll bar there. All right, for this little link here, we'll go in there and we will say, what do we want it to do? What's a good icon for this? Like for a pop-up. Maybe message or a note. Yeah, that doesn't look bad, huh? All right, so when they click on that, we'll do an update context. Loc show. I'm surprised it's not giving me IntelliSense here. Pop-up, I think is what it was called. Set that to true. I want to copy that because that's what's going on here. I was changing a property and I don't think it was the right property. So, okay. Context. All right. All right, so if they click on it. So we've got some errors going on over here. What is going on? Unselect. So this one should set it to Actually, it should just be that button. Perhaps that's what I messed up. All right, so I'm going to cut that. And that code should only be for this button here. Anybody see what I messed up here? All right, so what you can do is you got a variable, you double click on the word of a variable or something that should evaluate to value, and you hover over it. There's an error in this formula. Try revising the formula and running it again. So we put something in there that we shouldn't have. I messed something up. Wow, I messed that up pretty bad. Okay. Let's show, I'm going to change this name over to something else. Description pop up. And I'm going to change the variable one by one until we find out perhaps what caused it. So the best approach to troubleshooting an issue going wrong with your application with code is you try to isolate the problem as much as you can. Now, if this was a traditional coding language, in the code, the compiler, when I try to compile the code, it would probably give me much more descriptive syntax errors. And it's syntax means there's rules of a language. So in PowerApps, it's called PowerFX. So that's helpful in a traditional coding language. So PowerApps, sometimes you just got some weird things you got to deal with. But regardless of which environment you're working in, you just try to isolate the problem. So if I rename each of these parts to this new variable name, it might become obvious what's going on. So for this group, I've got a button, a label, and the rectangles. That is the pop-up. So for the visible, I'm going to go over here to visible. Okay, and I don't have anything for the visible. Okay, so perhaps this will part of the problem here. So for this, it should be that variable name there. Okay. All right. And we still have a name is invalid. Okay, so for this button over here that actually sets up this context variable, I'm going to paste that right there. I think we solved all the problems. So I don't see any more errors. Now you notice within PowerApps, you got this little checker up here in the upper right. So I don't see any errors here. Actually, there's 2 formula errors, and these are just delegation warnings. That's fine. Delegation warnings don't scare me. Okay, let's run it and let's try this out here. All right, there we go. Close. Let's look at the on select here for this. All right, so it's using the old name. So I'm going to double click on that and paste. So now there shouldn't be anything associated with that old variable name. Okay, so there it's being displayed. Let me click on the second link. Okay, so there we've got a description. And what I might do here, just to have something in here, let's edit in grid and say nothing else provided. Right, exit. Very good. Now, if you go into SharePoint and modify something directly, SharePoint's not going to know about that unless you do a refresh. Now, you can do that with code with the refresh function, or you can go over here to video ideas in this case and do a refresh. And then something I think would be a good idea, something that sometimes people don't realize. Right now, we've got a little pop-up to display it. What we could do for this little group inside of our gallery, okay, is it does have a tooltip. And this tooltip, we could actually put the description right there. So we could say this item description. So if they don't like pop-ups, they just hover over it. Look at that. Nothing else provided. If I click on this one and hover, it's going to give it to me now. I've got a really huge cursor, a PowerApps purple cursor here. So that's what's going on, making it hard to read. So you can see that. All right. Very good. All right. So we're at the 1 hour mark. So we've built out this video idea. And now we could have, what I was going to do was have a screen that I build out with a patch. Now, most of the videos I do use a patch for creating data entry screens. So either a new record or an update record. I use patches, but I just want to do something different, I guess. So also this is faster. And a lot of times I treat forms how I do with data tables, the data table control. It's something I use perhaps just with myself just to save time, maybe to get a bunch of records in there initially. And then if it's something for a customer to use, typically I'll spend the extra time in creating something a little more sophisticated and nice for the user. An exception might be the app admin screens where there's only like 1 or 2 users anyway. So anyway, something that we could do with this data entry screen is we could go in here and let's say if we want to edit these ideas, what we could do is copy this. Well, okay, I'm going to select all 3 of these. Okay, that's not the one I want. It's down here. Okay, so here's these 2 items. I think I want to select the whole group. And I will say, okay, copy paste. And let's do some type of an edit here. And I still think we're far away enough from the right side that it won't matter. Okay, now for this one here, for the icon, let's make this edit. So type in edit. There's a little edit icon that a lot of people use. Okay, so we'll use that. And we will redirect to screen number 3. Okay. I'm trying to think the best way of not only do we need to navigate there, but we need to make sure that it is in edit mode. Okay, so we could pass to it a local variable. I got some comments here from Hugo. Hola, hola. I did take some Spanish classes in high school, so I do know what hola means. More videos. Yeah, más, right? Thanks. Yeah, I always at least try to create 1 new video. Sometimes with juggling all my responsibilities and things at work and in the family, I just don't have a lot of time. And if I have to do video editing, that adds significant amount of time to it. So if you guys are good with the live streams and get a lot out of these, and are just as happy with these as the other ones that I do, then I might switch over to doing mostly live streams. Gives you guys the chance to interact and talk to me, ask me questions while I'm doing things. It's less polished, but I would be able to create more videos for you more often. Okay, so what we want to do here is I want it to navigate over, okay, and we'll say screen 3. Now, I would like that to be a little more dynamic, perhaps reference a more meaningful name, because each of these screens has a menu, the menu text and everything. Be good to reference it by that, but I don't think I'll get that complicated. But what I do want to do, I do like the screen transition of fade. So if you type in here, screen transition fade, if you just hit the dot, you see all the different options that you have. I do have a whole video about Navigate. So if you want to know more about Navigate, check out that video. I spent a lot of good time in that, and it's pretty straightforward and simple. So be sure to check that out. And then the third parameter will be things that we can pass in. So we want to create a local variable for that screen. We'll call that video idea. Okay, that will be the one that we're going to edit. And what we can do is just say this item will pass the currently selected record within that gallery. Okay. All right, so we've got that. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to do here. So it's going to pass that in there. Okay. Let me click on that. There we go. All right. So now what we can do for this form is we'll go over here for the item property, and we'll actually use that local variable video idea. Okay. Yes, another comment from Victor. Live is much better. Nitty gritty details are a bonus. Wow. Well, that's great to hear, guys, because you know, after I release videos, days after, I look back at the videos, and I notice there's about 10% of you that are probably my core viewers that really like my content and stick around. And whenever I see there's and mostly I'm talking about these really long videos where I spend like an hour or two sort of building. One example of that would be the shopping cart screen, where I think it was almost 2 hours. So I think to myself, well, something long like in a live stream, it ends up being an hour or two. That it's sort of like not a good thing. But I need to listen to you guys' feedback and realize that you guys find a lot of value in this. So that's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for stopping by. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is make sure over here on screen 3 on the there's code you can put in the on visible here. So if we can say if loc view idea, as long as we'll say is blank, as long as it's not blank, that means something has been passed in. So we've got form video idea. So if it's not blank, we're going to say edit form video idea. Video idea. All right. All right, so that should give us what we need. So I'm going to go back to the screen 4, and let me try this again. I'm going to hit edit. Okay, now that should have brought up that record. Oh, there we go. It just took a moment. Okay, all right, very good. And you know what we should do? What would be nice for every single screen? So I almost want to put this. So these are all the things I'd put in an application to them. And every application I build, eventually every screen will have a back button. Okay, so I think what I might do is maybe copy, because when I do icons, I like to do what I just showed you what I do, which is I take these 3 things, I have a background to an icon, paste it somewhere here. Where did it go? Thought I did. Okay, there we go. It's this group. And I think what it's going to have a problem with is visible. So we want to say true. So no matter what screen you're on, a lot of times either you or a user will always want to go back to the previous screen, perhaps. All right, so we'll go over to the on select here. I don't know what, yeah. So here's the on select. Okay, so for the on select for all of these, what I'm going to say is simply back. Now, what some people don't realize, I have a whole video on navigate and back. So check that out if you want to know more about this. But you can actually put things in here like, yeah, screen transition. So you don't have to spell out screen transition. You can just say, if you know you like fade, you just type in fade. Okay, so we've got that in there. Now, what else is it complaining about? Yeah, we don't need any type of tooltip there. Now, what I want to say is a string literal. So we'll say go back to previous screen. Okay, now for the icon, oh, over here on advanced, I see it's got some issues, and it might be because we are in a component at the moment. That rhymed. We're in a component at the moment. That's funny. All right, so back. Now, I don't really like the oval in this case. So let's make this 50 wide, and that sort of messed things up a little bit, huh? Okay, and in this case, I might want, I'll grab this name of the circle, and for the icon, what I'll do is I'll say that dot X, and then for the Y, I'll say that circle dot Y, and we'll see where we're at. Okay. Now it's got a lot of padding in here, so let's replace those with like 2s. It's still quite big. So that's 60. Let's make this 60. Let's make this circle 70. Okay. And then for the X, we'll add 5, which is half of that 10 difference between the two. That makes sense. Okay, so now we can grab this group. Oh, come on. Okay. I was like, what is going on? All right, so we could put the back button, I don't know, maybe here. Does that look okay? Does that look weird? It almost looks like it's a clock that is sort of messed up. So, you know, a clock, you got little hands. That sort of looks like a clock, and it's not really centered. So I don't know. Is there another way? Like this import icon? I don't know. What do you guys think? Of course, in your app, you can use whatever you want. So I might use that for back. Yeah, I think for now I'll leave it. Now, what you could do to make this look a little cooler for this circle here is you can add a border, a white border. So let's make that white. So that looks a little nicer, doesn't it? Yeah. And then for the icon, I think we might need a little more padding, maybe like 5. Notice if you ever use your tab and tab around these properties, sometimes it resets and you got to go back and do it again. It's sort of frustrating, right? If it happens to you, know that it's not you, it's PowerApps. All right, so we go here. Look at this. All right, so let's click around. So we'll go to screen 5. Now I don't know why. I'm gonna click back. It does work. You see all the space at the top? Why did it do that? That's sort of weird, huh? So it starts up taking all this space, but if I change screens, it sort of, I don't know that I've seen that before. So I'm not sure really what's going on. And we still have our little debugging stuff at the bottom. Okay, so here's our video listing. There's our first video idea. We're going to go here and we can actually modify this. Okay, very good. Now I can go back and I can click on this one, edit this one. Very good. All right, so let's add a new record. So somebody gave me a good video idea. All right, so this is the idea. Now I would really like to select, I'm going to refresh this page real quick here. My live stream and another video. Okay. And I'm going to pause that. All right, so we've got that. We suggested, say YouTube. Okay. Title, well, let's just get the whole text here. And what I'm going to say is, for the full description, I want to say it's not going to be in the comments below. It's actually going to be here on the side for this because it's a live stream. And I'll say live stream comment. Okay. If I ever want to go back and reference that, I can. Okay. Now the URL for this video, I'm going to copy that. I like to be nice and organized here. Appreciate your video. So I'm going to say app idea. So it's an idea for an app. I mean, it's also an idea for a video, but if I ever want to, like, today I feel like doing an app in a live stream, so I can bring down the categories and search for that. All right. So I do see a new comment here. Integrate Power Apps with Power Automate. Absolutely. I did have a thought today, which was to allow you guys to enter in video ideas into a Microsoft form screen. So I could set that up and then set up a Power Automate flow to take those values that you guys enter and then put it to the SharePoint list directly. So that's what had my thought. I was going to have a sort of step-by-step, so I wasn't fumbling around here trying to step through it. So we could do that if you guys want me to continue. I mean, we are at the hour 20-minute mark, but I haven't had the need to do that before, but I know it's something that a lot of people use. If you want some type of outside access interaction with a Power App, you could use a form. So for example, let me just show you what I'm talking about here. If you open this up and go to forms, okay. So I could say new form, and I could call this video idea. And let me, I'll say Power Apps, video idea. And for the description, I mean, I did type up a description for this. I'll just paste that over for the description. I can always update that later. Okay, so these are, let's see here. Is this, now I don't do a lot of work in forms. So I'm just going to let you guys know that up front, okay? I'm not a forms expert. But I think it's made so that almost anybody could do these, right? So I think this is the heading of so let's just say we got free text here, and we'll say one line statement. Should we call it one line statement? So one line statement, call it short description. Short, very, and when I say very short, we're talking like 255 characters, right? Very short description for Power Apps video idea. I'll put in here 255 characters. How about that? Now, insert media. So maybe we wanted an image with that or something. Okay, enter your answer. We'll make that required because this is going to go directly into our title field. Okay. And so what I want to do is sort of show you this. And so what I was thinking was actually showing you how you would set this up with Power Automate to grab this and throw it into the SharePoint list. We might still do that, especially if you guys are telling me, yes, let's do it. But just realize I might fumble around. I'm not nearly as good in Power Automate as I am in Power Apps. And I've done Power Automate work before. I just have to look more things up. And with Power Apps, I can do a lot, especially Canvas apps. I can just do a lot of things just off the top of my head. Not always, but probably enough to do live streams like this. All right, so this, let me make sure I have this right. The title for this, okay, rental application, dispatch and receiving of assets. Could we say asset rental? What about asset checkout manager? What do you think of that? Like you go to a desk within an organization, like, hey, I need a hammer for the day. I'm checking this out. This is my name. This is my information. This is what I want to check out. But rental is sort of good too. So, Asset rental management. I'll just keep it as that. It's an app idea. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to hit save. I'm going to make sure I capture all these ideas. Okay. You know what I mean, we do have these menu items here. I might want to just add a little button here, and we'll call this video idea listing. Okay. And make this more like 250. Very good. And what this will do is do a navigate to our other one, which is screen 4. Feed. Okay. Well, let's try that out. We'll go there, and we should have what I do wrong. What did I do wrong? So navigate screen 4, and we're on screen 3 right now. It should be working. Yeah, I don't know what was happening there at the beginning, but all right. So now we have 3 items. Isn't that cool? All right. So something else that will give us a lot more room is if we lowered this down to maybe 10-point font. That might give us more room there. All right. So video idea. If it does wrap, it's not the end of the world, right? So I just sort of want to get a little more space in here. It just seems really cramped. Okay. So for those of you who are here, please talk to me. Let me know what you think, what you like out of this, what you don't like, anything that you guys want to see today before I stop this live stream. I think I might go for another 30 minutes as long as you guys are still interested. And what I need to do is, we've got this listing here. Let's say I'm on the screen. I want to add a new one. Well, let's add a little button. Let's go get this little button here. Now this button is doing something weird. Got another one from Victor. Another idea, quotation app. Quote reference number, select customer from the database, items, rates, dates, follow-up. Yeah. I've actually done an app for this for a client. Now, a lot of times I've done all kinds of apps for clients, and a lot of times I can't show you guys those applications because it's got their business data in it, and I don't want to violate anyone's trust with their business data. Perhaps they don't want their business information being displayed. And a lot of times I have to ask, like that very first project I did with the inspection checklist, I told them like, hey, this is going to be used as a portfolio piece. And in other cases, as long as it's test data and I sort of change the company name or logo, I'm good from that standpoint because I'm not really showing anything about the, nothing to identify the client. But some clients are like, yeah, go ahead and show. I'd sort of like the extra exposure. So yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to enter that. I'm going to enter that one as well. So thank you, Victor. And all right, so what I thought here was let's capture this button here, and let's paste this little button here, and I'm going to put it up here at the top. Okay, and here we'll say add new. Okay, and for here we're going to go back to screen 3. Okay, and what I'm thinking is, what happens if I go over there? And it probably shouldn't be so wide. Is it going to pull up an existing record? And I wanted to start a new one. So what I do look for is if it's blank. Okay. Perhaps what I should be looking at, and I don't like to put, you can use a function in PowerApps called blank, and it's going to put a blank value in that variable. And I don't like to do that because sometimes PowerApps will say, oh, we have a different type of data being thrown in this variable, and then it doesn't like the variable being used at all because it's all confused. So I don't like to do that. I mean, that perhaps was my first thought. Well, I'll just throw in a blank value so it registers, it goes through that if statement properly. What I like to do instead for something like this is say, local, well, I need curly braces, right? Local new record, and we'll set that to true. Okay. So what we can do is when we go in here for screen 3 on visible, we'll just check this variable here instead of that is blank stuff. If that is, and we'll need to do a bang operator or say not, you can use either the keyword not, or the bang operator does the exact same thing. As long as it's not a new record, then edit, otherwise new. Now then what we need to do is once we do a save or a new, okay. Well, I mean, if they hit save, we're making it a new one, right? I don't know that I mean, there could be a case where they save it and they might want to just sort of save the work and keep editing. So we can set that, take that new form out of there. At the first one, we kept entering records. It made sense. Is we should do an update context on that local variable record. It's definitely false at that point. Okay. And then if we click on the new button, set that to true. So that's a cool, convenient little local variable that we can rely on. Okay. So we're looking at a record that we could edit. Let's just go back to the video listing. And we'll click on add new. It should give us a new one. It just took a moment. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, so I need to make sure I'm entering everything. Let's go back to the video ideas and make sure I've entered everything. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so from here, integration with Power Automate. Okay. Well, here's some questions for you guys. This is sort of a broad topic. Integrate with Power Automate. Can you give me examples of Power Automate that you'd want to do? I mean, I can have an idea of 5 different examples, and maybe that's what I'll start with. But that's broad. I mean, we can do all kinds of stuff. But if there's something specific that you want to see with Power Automate, let me know. I've used Power Automate to take binary image information and throw that into SharePoint lists, email it out, generate files, use Power Automate flows for generating files, that type of thing, that type of stuff. So any type of emailing, if it's in response to, say, a button being clicked on the Power App, I actually send out those emails within the Power App. I don't rely on a Automate flow for that. So category, I am going to move this up here. And I want to look at my categories here. So we have general examples. You know what I might say? I'm going to make a category for Power Automate. Okay. And the URL is this live stream. Okay. And the full text of that. Live stream comment. Very good. All right. So I'm going to hit save. Notice the button's grayed out right now. So it's taking a little while to save that. So just give it a moment here. Oh. Okay, very good. Okay. What's strange is it went back to a previous record, which makes sense. Okay, what we need to do, this form is set up to look at this video idea. Okay, so we'll grab that and we need to set this thing up. When it does a save, let's do an update context. You always need your curly braces in there. And we'll say, if you want to get at the record that was just submitted by a form video idea, you have to use a property called last submit. Okay. So that should do that. Throw that in there, and it should stay on that record. All right, so let's try that out. Click on new. We actually see this stuff. Test. New test record. Okay, what a save. Let's see if it keeps it up here. Looks like it did. Okay, very good. Now, one question I have is whenever we did this, do we have a spinner? We do have a spinner. And that is set up to look at what? Global show spinner. All right. So whenever we do some type of a database operation, let's open this code up. It's starting to get long, so I like to click on format text. And let's set this up. Show spinner true. And this is going to give a little more professional feel to our application. Okay. So now click on new record again. So testing after whenever you're creating an app, as you're going along, you always want to do a sort of step through and do some initial data entry, and a little obvious issues will come up. So you want to enter data before you start sending that back to your customers or your clients. So in order to see the spinner and all kinds of things, we need to actually move this up, reorder, bring to front, and let's what is going on here? I set that up. So I don't know if you guys noticed that. So on this screen, I moved it to the front, and what I wanted was for this stuff to be see-through, so I could actually see what's going on here behind that. So the question is, do I have anything in the middle that's covering anything up? I didn't think I had. And in fact, I click on this. Oh, you know what I need to do for this component? Is I need to go to the fill and use the color called transparent. All right, so now we go back to the screen and now we can see through it. How about that? All right. All right, so we've got our new screen again. That's good, just in case we want to keep adding to it as we save. I'm going to go back to the video ideas. And it's not allowing me to get at anything. So I normally don't write my components like this. And what I want is any type of click events to actually pass through this transparent area and get to what's behind it. And typically transparent, I believe it did that. Yeah, but maybe not. I might have to rethink how I do that. So for now, we can just send this to the back and we should be able to click again. Okay. So something I'll keep in my mind to resolve. But I mean, it's not really good application design. This is sort of a really weird application of 100 screens and just miscellaneous, just all kinds of stuff we just throw into it. I typically would not recommend throwing everything, all the stuff that you want on all screens, just to be in one component. So I wouldn't recommend that. But I was working at one place and I saw somebody do that, and it's like, huh, I wouldn't have thought to do that. You know, I want everything sort of like loosely coupled. You know, so menu would be a component, and a header would be a component. Like all these things would be different components, and you drop one in one at a time. Not to throw them all into one, but so anyway. All right, so let's go in here. Let's run the application. Hit F5. Go back to video listing ideas. Okay, so we've got all these. Now, something that we don't have is a delete key. So that might be a good idea of something to do here. So let's go into this gallery and we'll find this one here. Let's do a copy and we'll do a paste. Okay, so it's looking good. I won't put it, sorry, I'll put it to the left. And instead of that blue, because it's a deletion, I might actually make this more like a maroon color. Maybe even a red. Like, hey, don't click on this unless you mean to. I like the maroon color for delete. It's not so in your face. Okay, so for the on select for this, what we'll do is a remove. PBL, there's all of our data sources, right? Video ideas. And we'll simply say this item, and it will delete it. And I'm really sort of, I don't like to add a lot of delete buttons. I mean, it's useful like if you have some, think about the case in which we'd want to delete records. In a lot of cases, you don't want to do a delete, and you also don't want a user to delete something. What you want rather is a way to make that item inactive. But if you have a bunch of test data like I do here, new test record. Let's click on this. Very good. We'll delete this one. But most cases, I don't want users to have the ability to do that. So what I'll do is I'll leave that remove in here, but I want somebody to be very explicit. They explicitly do want to do it. And you could have a little pop up or you go to a different screen. Hey, you sure you want to delete this? A lot of times something that's sort of a quick way of doing this is if they're an advanced, or I shouldn't say advanced user, an app admin or even a tester, is we could also say, and global show debugging. So if they're in there actually deleting stuff, they should be a debug user, an advanced user. So I don't like to see that delete button all the time. They're like, hey, where's my delete button? I want to delete something. So I click on this and then I'll see it. That's one method that I use. If I was gonna put a delete here and I wanted users to have the capability of deleting, what I would want them to do is actually go into the record, see what they're about to delete, and then put a delete up here. And then maybe perhaps, are you sure? Have a little pop-up say, are you sure that you want to delete this data? So they've got a few clicks in order to delete something. Okay, so all right, so I'm looking at the comments here. Let's see if we have any other. Let me go back to the video ideas. I'm going to go through the chat and make sure I've got them all. So if you guys are here, I can ask questions here. Yeah. So Victor just had a good point here. Then you would need a pop-up to confirm deletion. Absolutely. Yeah. People like to have that deletion so they don't accidentally or inadvertently delete data. Absolutely. Exactly. Great minds think alike. That's right. Very good. All right. So I want to make sure I've got everything. So this is my first video idea. And you know what? I don't need that. I'm just, oh, you know what else we need to do? This needs to be a trash icon. Look at that. Let's get rid of that first video idea and then get out of the debug. All right. So show more of the checklist inspection app, asset rental management, integration with Power Automate. What else do we have? I think we had one more in here, right? Okay, I don't think we've got the quotation app. Yeah, let's add that in there. Very good. Thank you, Victor, for that idea. Let's add a new one. It should give me a new form. It just takes a while. It's annoying. All right, so we'll do who suggested, and let's go in here and get the URL. Boom, and let's paste in the idea here. Very good. I think quotation app would be good. And what we've got here is app idea. Anything else we need to have in here? App idea, the description, and all that. Hit save. All right, very good. Okay, I think I got all the ideas from the chat from today. And as time goes on, I'm going to go in and add these from other videos here. So yeah, I'll need to do that. Let's go over here. And so my only other idea, and I think it would make this portion of the video really cool, is if we had this form working. And I might just sort of like, if you guys want to stick around and watch me do this, sort of want to sort of step through this, and it's not something I do very often. So I'm a little hesitant to do this here on the live stream, but if I mess up, you know, hopefully you guys can forgive me. But we might step through this. So very short description. Okay, so we got that. What else do we need? We have, we want to add a new, and we want text. Your name or user name. Okay. From YouTube or other social media. I'll just say YouTube, Twitter, etc. Okay, so they can enter that in. Won't be a long answer. Should we make that required? Maybe not. Maybe it's just somebody wants to do it anonymously. You know, what's cool about if I have your name is I can sort of do a shout out and thank you. You know, I don't know. People can just type in whatever they want. They can just type in blah, 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 you know. Okay. Trying to think if I want to capture someone's email address. I'm gonna not make that required. And I almost want to add in a new field here for email address in case people want me to email them once I do the video. You think that might be helpful? Okay, person's email. Single line of text should handle it. And whenever you add something, you want to go over here and do a refresh. All right, so we got that. And let's add that in. Your email address so you can be notified the video is released. And I don't want to make that required. If people don't want to provide it, I don't want to require that. All right, very good. So we got that. What else do we have here? At the person, we got the email. I'm going to move this email over here. And I don't know that I want to add that into the app yet, but okay, so category. I think I might categorize it myself. I don't want to trust people to, well, you know what? I could. App idea. I mean, most of these are app ideas. I think I'll leave it as is. URL. I mean, if it comes in through a Microsoft form, yeah, we don't need that. Okay, then the most important piece of information is let's add in a new one here. And this is going to be a long answer. full detailed description of video PowerApps video idea. All right. So got that. This is going to be required. You need to type something in there. Okay. Because that's the whole point of coming here and filling this out. Let's add a new item. Yeah, I want to add a new item so people can upload files or screenshots. Let's do a file upload. Files uploaded by responders will be captured in this folder. Note that responders' names and file details will be automatically recorded in OneDrive. Okay, I guess that's our only way that we can upload files within forms. And we're not going to make this required. And we're going to, whoa, 1 gigabyte. Whoa. I'll put that up to 100 megabytes. I don't know that it's really needed to have much more than that. Gee whiz. And I might allow people to upload. I mean, you would think if somebody's got a lot of files, they would just zip it up. I'm trying to think how I want to deal with this. I think what I might do is just try to throw them in. If it's easy with Power Automate, just throw them into the attachments. And I think I'm just going to allow 10. I'm going to allow the full amount there. All right, so the question is, any files pertinent? Is that how you spell pertinent? Pertinent files, such as screenshots, shots. Okay, so here's an idea, guys. You have an app that you've got a problem with, and you're like, please make a video where you fix a problem I have on this screen. And maybe you've got screenshots, and you include the MSF file. And then I could actually create a video. I probably, all the videos I create, I want to be able to create videos that will benefit more than just you. I want them to benefit other people as well. But I think for a lot of cases, a problem that somebody's encountering with PowerApps could be applied to other people. Okay. So yeah, uploading screenshots, MSApp files, and we will not make that required. What else can we do here? Subtitle, field type. Okay. I think that's good for the form. I am going to, let's change the theme to a PowerApps theme. I'm looking for something purple. You know, I don't do very much with forms, so this is all fairly new to me. I'm gonna click on this purple thing. All right, there we go. I like the purple theme. All right, so let's preview this. So you got short description, your name, email address. Okay, okay, looks good. What else can we do here? We got settings for forms. Ooh, okay. So what I wanted to do is make this like an anonymous type of a form. Who can fill out this form? Anyone. File upload is only available. Okay. So I can't have file uploads if I want it to be released to the outside world. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to take this out. Okay. So I'll take that out. Unfortunately. Okay. I think what I might want to do here is send all screenshots and MS app excuse me, guys. Files to support at neese.us. Okay, so people can still include those. All right, so I'll include that so people can still do that. All right, so now let's go over here to settings. I'm glad I went into settings and saw that. Anyone can respond. Okay, option for responses, accept responses. Allow recipient of responses after submission. Get email notification of each response. Yeah, that sounds great. I want to be notified when somebody does do that. Okay. I'm going to share. I'm going to shorten that URL. I'm going to copy that. And why don't you guys do me a favor and actually I'm going to type in here. So here is the form link for video ideas. So now you guys have a link. Yeah. You guys have a video link of sharing ideas with me. So please use that. In fact, so if you guys are with me here still, if you don't mind, whether you're here in the live stream right now or you're watching this a year from now, please use that link. I'll include this link as a pinned comment. So if you go down to the comments, it'll be pinned in there. The link will be there. You click on that link. Just in case if I need to redo the form, I always have the most updated link in the description. Okay. So there's that. Now we are at the 2-hour mark. I would sort of like to do the Power Automate flow if we can, but I need to look and make sure that I don't have anything on my calendar here at 2 o'clock. I'm thinking that I need to wrap this up at least within 30 minutes. But while Outlook is opening here, let me look at my calendar real quick. Okay. So I probably need to wrap this up in 30 minutes. I do have something coming up. All right. Shares a template. No. We got the link. Okay. Now the question is, that's why I don't have my Outlook open when I do a video, because Outlook likes to talk to me. Okay. So let's try to do our Power Automate. So anybody on here? Okay, so it says, okay, so Victor says, link working okay. All right, very good. So Victor, if you don't mind, type in a response there and let's see if we can see. So you guys didn't know that you would get some Microsoft Forms training. Let's look at responses. Okay, so no responses yet. I'm going to do one. Let's do this. Hit a preview. Very short description. I'll say, you need to create more videos. Please, your name, Darren, email address. All right. More videos. I do know that is misspelled. Submit. Very good. This is what it looks like when you do that. And you can submit another response. Okay, very good. I'm going to click on back, and I do have one response here. Darren, okay, so it clumps them together, and I can open in Excel. That's sort of cool. I like it. All right, so question is, how do you get over to Power Automate here? So I like to open it from this window, and you need to make sure you're in the right environment. So in my own environment, I have 2 separate environments. One is the default, and another one I use for these videos. So Darren Neese's environment, that's good. I think we're already there anyway. So let's create a new flow and all right, so I'm going to create a new flow, and I think what we can do here, I'm looking at some document or a link here that's somebody actually steps through and does this. And let's look at a template. Let's look if there's a template already out here. Let's say forms, form, notify me and store the response when a student completes a quiz. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Okay, form processing. to email in SharePoint. No, I want it in SharePoint. Okay, email in SharePoint. Okay. Which one do I want? This one or this one? All right. I like the email rather than just a notification. Okay. So I think I might go with this one. Let's try this one out. So we have a Microsoft form. An email is created. Then we have a SharePoint. Okay. Let's click on continue. And that mail connector looks a little weird. It almost looks like it's a SMTP email. And, ooh, okay. List responses, select form. Maybe it might go get it for me without me having to specify exactly what it is. Let's see. It says it's loading it. Okay. I'm going to share. Let me copy that. And let me see if I can enter a custom value. And let's see if that works. Okay. List responses. Okay. I don't know that I really care. I think it would be, well, let me just try this. Let's see, Darren at Neese.us. Okay, maybe this is really simple, easy. I'm used to using the Outlook 365 connector. Okay, new PowerApps video idea. Okay, and then down here we can say list responses. Okay, this is a loop, right? So for every response, okay. What if I click on current item? Because we're going to send it out an email every iteration of this loop. Okay, so current item. Maybe if I just keep that as current item, it'll just dump all the data in there. That'd be nice. Okay, so for the SharePoint, okay, that's not really all I want there. It's a little too much. This is the list, and I want to open up this. This is the URL here, I believe, PowerApps training. Okay, we'll go with that. The list name is video ideas. Okay. Well, guys, I mean, this is a lot easier than I thought this was going to be like really complicated, but it doesn't really seem all that complicated. Now, how am I going to get at the current value? How am I going to grab the individual values, the responses out of that? I don't know. Let me. Looking at an example on my other screen here. And if you guys have ever done this, if you guys are here, please feel free to share perhaps your knowledge in this. Part of me doesn't think this is a good idea. This is the first time I've done it on a live stream. So whenever you're presenting, especially live, anything can go wrong, typically will, which is Murphy's Law, right? Okay. So I'm here in the current item. List of response notifications. I don't know. It's like I'd almost want to do current item dot something else. List of responses. Okay. Select an output. List responses. Okay. This might be something I might need to look into, but and get back to you guys on. when a new response is submitted. Huh. Now, are responses a full quiz that was filled out, or was it an answer to one of the questions? That's what I'm wondering about. So list responses. Hmm. Yeah, you know what? I might make this a separate video of sort of how to do this, but I'm sort of glad that we created this form. And oh, we've got 2 responses now. Let's see what we got. All right, so best video idea ever. Okay, so this is interesting. So I've got 2 responses, and it's sort of coupling the responses of each one together. Test at test.com. Victor, very good. Will follow soon. Thanks. Okay, very good. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, guys, is I am going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to look into this. If it's really simple, I might just like hit the record or the live stream button again and just sort of finish it with you guys. Otherwise, if it's more involved, I think I'll just make a perhaps a little 5 or 10 minute video and release that as well. And this would be like a little video idea. Okay. So you guys, if you're not watching this live, so YouTube will make a suggestion. YouTube will think that you like a video over here that will appear right here. Otherwise, I'll leave a list of video, a playlist over here that's based on what you're currently watching, which are live streams. I'll probably put a playlist item right here for you to click on the different live streams. So guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Hoping you're having a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.